A video taken outside St. Louis
Motherfucker.
showing Allentown police officer
To read a letter. What kind of letter?
Protesters want that officer fired and the body cam
Not that
footage
long.
released.
Sometimes I don't read all the words. I skim through it and know what you talking about.
Philadelphia police are trying to find answers.
Woman's
after
body
a woman's
found.
decaying body was found inside a plastic bin on a sidewalk in Grace Ferry.
Grace
Officers made the
Ferry.
discovery around 10 this morning at 31st and Warden.
31st and
The bin
Warden.
had been there since at least yesterday. The body had been wrapped in plastic.
What
As
the
officers
fuck?
combed the area for clues, neighbors looked on, very concerned.
Did they see if it was a child or
I don't know who's in there.
an adult?
It's very scary. Somebody's put their body there. So I'm very scared and very nervous.
Body in the
What's going
bin.
on?
That's our Southwest Philly.
She said, I don't know who in that bin. It could be somebody I know.
After a woman's decaying body was found inside a plastic
Oh, that
bin
shit
on a
decaying.
sidewalk in Grace Ferry.
So they had it
Officers
sitting
made the
somewhere
discovery
else for a
around
while.
10 this morning at 31st and Warden.
31st and
The bin
Warren.
had been there since at least yesterday. The body had been wrapped in plastic. As officers combed the area for clues, neighbors looked on.
This is a woman's body.
In the bin, they said the body wrapped in plastic
I don't know who's in there.
and the bin wrapped in plastic.
It's very scary. Somebody's put their body there. So I'm very scared and very nervous. So what's going on? Right. And could there be somebody out here today?
Police are now
Right.
trying to determine the identity of the victim. Two school districts in Bucks and Lehigh
Damn.
counties are facing a lawsuit. They're accused of failing to protect young girls from a sexual predator. Christian Willman taught
Christian
in the Parkland and the
Willman.
Palisades school districts.
Parkland
he was arrested
and
in
Palisade
2019 and pleaded guilty
School.
to sexually assaulting 6 of his former students.
6
Attorneys
students,
for
so
the
this
victim say
dickhead
both
was
the
a
districts
teacher?
ignored Willman's
Fucking
behavior
kids.
and exposed thousands of students to a predator.
He was operating almost at a
So they-
factory
who they
level, the way
suing,
that
the
he
school or the
abused
men?
Children,
Them.
and unfortunately
The men?
was allowed to abuse children.
They can't sue the school. How the fuck they know he was a
Willman
fucking
is serving
predator?
a sentence of 12 years.
That shit probably wasn't on his background. He probably just started. How the fuck they know if he's been a predator? They did his background, and that shit probably wasn't on his background. That shit probably just came up. He probably always been sick in his head, but never got caught. Fuck out there. So you gonna sue the school district because they didn't fucking know that this nigga was sick in his motherfucking head. And they only gave him 12 years for raping 6 people.
Catch a new episode of
And this man was white.
this Friday at 8.
When you see a lawyer on
They
TV,
threw us under the motherfucking bus.
They gonna catch him upstate.
don't be fooled.
They
All
gonna catch
folks
him
are not the
upstate.
same.
12 years. That nigga gonna be in protective custody. Then ain't nobody catching him upstate. That nigga gonna plead protective custody. He gonna be scared as shit to get his butt taken.
He ain't gonna take lying down too long.
Everything's fine.
He ain't gonna
Yeah,
take
not
lying down.
not too long.
Yeah, he wanna go to population. You know what I mean?
Added protection to help keep your network secure.
Not with what you did, raping kids. They gonna tear your ass out the frame. You ain't even gonna make it that 12 years. That shit gonna be a wreck. Cause they don't play that shit up there.
But it take lying down. If you go population.
That nigga gonna take lock down that whole 12 years and then come home and be on the same psycho shit again.
Starts now. Summer on.
Got the murdering, killing. Don't give a fuck about it.
He raped 6 kids. So that mean he liked doing it. So that means something wrong with you. So that mean that shit it's something wrong with your head. So that mean that shit never gonna go away. So once he do them 12 years, he gonna be at it again. Like that nigga should have done life. Nigga should been there for the rest of his motherfucking
Go
life.
to a mental hospital.
Probably won't touch me.
Xiidra works differently.
There's something wrong with his head.
Can cause dry eye disease.
What is that?
That nigga probably was born like that.
It can provide lasting relief. Xiidra is the only FDA-approved treatment specifically.
Somebody probably touched on his little pecker.
One drop in each eye, twice a day. Don't use if you're allergic to
Right there on the news.
Motherfuckers be replaying that type of shit like R. Kelly.
Applied to the eye and unusual taste sensation. Don't touch containers.
Replaying the same sick shit that was done to him. To other motherfuckers. They see that shit. It's a problem that they have. That's why I said he shouldn't have been locked up. He should have been sentenced in a mental institution and never come home. Stay there until you get that shit out your head and live with it. Live with it and come to understanding with it so you can move on with that shit. They keep replaying that shit in their head. That shit did something to them. That motherfucker snap in and out of it.
Former Pennsylvania Congressman Shaka Ratan has been released from federal prison early, but is still under
That
confinement.
motherfucker snap in and out of it.
Office in 2016 after he was convicted of corruption. A judge sentenced him to 10 years in prison. Now, according to those sources, Ratan has been transferred to community confinement, which means he's in a halfway house or is confined to home.
Early was serving
Officials
10
say
years.
Ratan's projected
Yeah, he in
release is
halfway
in
house.
August
You
of
got to do 10 years in
2025.
halfway house.
10 years
Supreme
in
Court
prison.
Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg is
Oh,
out of the
he did
hospital
10
and
in the
back home
prison.
tonight. Doctors treated her for possible infection. A Supreme Court spokeswoman says the
Supreme Court.
87-year-old
She big
is
girl.
doing well. Jess?
She's a big girl.
Beginning
She
today,
over
the
the
Trump
regular
administration
judges
is
and all that.
changing the way that hospitals
I know who
report
that is.
coronavirus numbers.
I know
The
who
Department
that
of
is.
Health and Human
She did with
Services
6
sent a
benches.
letter to hospitals demanding
She
they
big
send
girl.
information directly
You know
to
she
them
got
in
money out
Washington
there.
and not the CDC in Atlanta.
And her family
They say
too.
the
I bet you
move
they
is to
top dogs
streamline
too.
data
That type of shit they be
Meanwhile,
running in the
Texas setting
family when they be in that
records for new coronavirus
Supreme
cases
Court
in
and
hospitals.
the high top
The
dog
governor
shit,
is reminding
Capitol
people to
Hill
wear
and all
face
that
masks,
shit.
but
They over the
he's
president.
resisting calls
I
to
know.
shut down the
She,
state.
when I found out they was
we
brave
were
and
to shut
brave
down
back then,
for
if I knew they was over the
as some
president,
people
I'd
are
have been got
asking,
rid of his.
well, once we
Yeah,
open
but
back
who
up,
over the
you
president?
would then
Who
say
the first
things began
who the
to
first
spread again.
people over the president?
Alabama's governor
what they
issued a
call it,
statewide mandatory mask requirement today,
Impeach.
warning the state's hospitals are close to being overwhelmed.
It's
And the
impeach.
governor of Oklahoma became the